With their rituals and codes, Freemasons emphasizes integrity, charity, and community service. But how much of this is true? And how much is a carefully crafted mystique? Their closed-door meetings and secret handshakes have fueled suspicions for centuries. What really happens behind those locked doors? Some claim the organization's influence stretches into the corridors of power, manipulating political and legal systems. Could this explain their involvement in high-profile scandals throughout history? Are the Freemasons simply a misunderstood fraternity, or is there truth to the claims of hidden agendas and untouchable connections? Let's investigate.
That so many leading members of government belonged to a Masonic lodge, it was that they belonged secretly, and in Italy, secret societies are illegal.
The Freemasons. Freemasonry, a brotherhood shrouded in secrecy, began as a guild for stonemasons, but soon transformed into a global organization claiming to champion moral and ethical values. According to reports, the society formed around the 1500s in England and Scotland. But as time went by, the members gathered power, and they began to influence society in areas like business and politics.
Masonry is family, not only within our lodge, but also outside our lodge. And it's a worldwide organization.
They even helped form the United States itself since 13 of the 39 signatures on the US. The Constitution belonged to Masons. Over the years, they slowly climbed the ladder. By the 1820s, the Masons had members in every possible organization. To the general public, they were simply a group of influential people who wanted to do some good for society.
It's a place where people come together, talk about ideas, talk about things that we have in common, and grow as people, as individuals.
However, the image that the Freemasons had spent so long building started crumbling when William Morgan disappeared from the face of the earth. The disappearance of William Morgan. C. Morgan and his friend David C. Miller were committed to exposing the true face of the Freemasons. In his 1874 book, History of the Abduction of William Morgan and the Anti-Masonic Excitement of 1826-30, A.P. Bentley wrote that the two men entered into a partnership to print a book, which the public was to be told disclosed the secrets of Masonry, in hopes to make a fortune out of the gaping curiosity of the vulgar. But how did he gain access to that kind of secret information? Well, Morgan managed to infiltrate the ranks of the Freemasons by posing as one. He documented several of the organization's cryptic ceremonies and induction rituals. But as the publication date for Mason's groundbreaking exposé approached, the dangers became real. Law enforcement officers loyal to the Freemasons arrested the pair by making up excuses like outstanding debts. One group of Masons tried to destroy his print shop, but the real mystery was his disappearance. On September 11th, a group of Masons arrived at William Morgan's house armed with an arrest warrant, not for a serious crime, but for a borrowed shirt and tie he allegedly failed to return. Petty larceny? Or a cover for something darker? Morgan was hauled to the police station only to have the charges mysteriously dropped. But before he could walk free, another arrest was made. This time for a debt of just $2.65. Later that night, a group of Masons, led by Lawton Lawson, bailed him out. But this wasn't a rescue mission. Morgan was forced into a carriage and taken away. That's the last time anyone saw him. And according to reports, his last words were, "murder." And unfortunately for the Masons, Morgan's disappearance wasn't something they could simply brush under the rug. The public took notice. In fact, there were protests. And eventually the Anti-Masonic Party, aka the first third party in American politics, was formed. But did that put an end to the Freemasons' activities in the dark? No, far from it. Jack the Ripper. In fact, for the longest time, conspiracy theorists have speculated that Jack the Ripper, the man responsible for the 5 murders and mutilations committed between August 31st and November 9th, 1888, was a Freemason.
To the side here is Wentworth model dwellings, built the year before the murders in 1887. And at 2:20 a.m, PC Alfred Long, who'd been drafted in from A Division in Westminster, had been patrolling this area of Goulston Street. He found nothing unusual, but he came back here at 2:55 a.m. And as he passed by this doorway, which led to rooms 108 to 119, just inside where this door jamb is, he found half a white apron covered in blood and feces.
Why? Well, for starters, each murder scene was staged like a ritual, which seemed harrowingly similar to the ancient penalties of the Masonic Oath. Not to mention that, according to other theorists, there were Freemasons living at the time of the Ripper murders, those working at the highest level, who could have easily used their power and influence to cover up the identity of the real culprit for their own personal agenda. Though there are a lot of historians who have argued otherwise, there's still a lot more in the history books that the Freemasons have to answer for. The P2 scandal in Italy. The judiciary accused some of the society's most prominent members of offences, such as espionage, tax fraud, illegal currency dealings, and even planning to undermine the country's parliamentary system and form a state within a state.
Italy was in search of a new government today for the 41st time since the end of World War II. Government number 40, headed by Prime Minister Arnaldo Forlani, collapsed yesterday under the weight of a most unusual scandal.
We're talking about nearly 1,000 respected figures of the Italian establishment, including members of Prime Minister Arnaldo Forlani's cabinet. They called it the Propaganda Due, commonly known as P2. Now, in the beginning, P2 was legit. It was founded in 1877 under the Grand Orient of Italy, but transformed into an illegal organisation under the leadership of Licio Gelli in the 1970s.
Christian Democrats to belong to the Freemasons, so as a party as a whole, they don't support them, so I don't know that they'll be so tainted.
And well, that's where the problem was. Gelli was expelled to avoid further scandals. Meanwhile, a parliamentary commission of inquiry, chaired by Tina Anselmi, concluded that the lodge was a criminal organisation, which is why it was legally dissolved on 25th of January 1982. To many, the P2 scandal is the perfect example of how the secret society operates in the shadows. To others, it's an isolated incident that doesn't represent the Masons. The Cray twins, gangsters and Freemasonry. Back in the 1960s in London, Ronnie and Reggie Cray ruled with an iron fist. These notorious gangsters built a criminal empire through violence, intimidation, and connections to the city's elite. But here's the real interesting bit. The Cray twins weren't just feared criminals. They mingled with politicians, celebrities, and influential figures. And it seems like it's these very connections that protected them. One of the twins, Ronnie, even had affairs with two male politicians, Lord Boothby of the Conservative Party and MP Tom Dryburgh. What's more, investigations unravelled their empire, and whispers of police corruption emerged. Some reports about Masonic ties within law enforcement may have shielded the twins from scrutiny. Inspector Nipper Reid of Scotland Yard spent a good number of years trying to catch these notorious gangsters. He had to face some serious obstacles, but eventually it all paid off as he got the twins sentenced to life in prison in 1968. So the question that everyone has been asking to date is, could Freemasonry's shroud of secrecy have enabled the Crays to operate without any consequences? Though there are no clear answers yet, one thing is for sure. The Freemasons have been involved in far too many incidents that have been brushed under the rug. But that's not even the most disturbing part. No one can confidently talk about how powerful of an influence the Freemasons have. According to the Masonic Service Association of North America, there were about 898,000 Freemasons in the US as of 2020, and there are an estimated 6 million Freemasons worldwide. So don't be fooled into thinking that these are stories of the past. The Masons exist, and they're going to continue working from the shadows for a long time. That's it for this one. Give us a like and let us know if the Freemasons will ever be exposed. Comment below with your thoughts. And if you're looking for light, maybe you should knock. Stay safe out there.